Good afternoon. Today I will tell you the instructional design for active learning. So, what do? We mainly explain the meaning of the instructional design and will give an overview of ADDIE model. Now, instruction, training, teaching and education. First, I will tell what is instruction. Instruction is the intentional facilitation of learning toward identified learning goals. So, Driscoll in the year of 1994 defines instruction from the similar perspective. It is that the deliberate arrangement of learning conditions to promote the attainment of some intended goal. So, it is nothing but a purposeful activity. Instruction is the purposeful activity intended to cause, guide, to support learning. To support learning, what is the purposeful activity? That is called the instruction. Now, what is training? Training is the instructional experiences of focused upon individual acquiring very specific skills, that they will normally apply almost immediately. So, that is the call we training. But what is teaching? Teaching is the learning experiences that are facilitated by a human being, not just a videotape or the textbook or a computer program, but a live teacher. So, that is the teaching. So, there is a difference between the training and the teaching. What is the difference? The first is that training usually it is more specific focus than the teaching, which asks to instill a deeper knowledge over a longer period of time. So, it is the training is more specific, teaching is little bit broad, and training on the other hand it seeks to help people master a specific skill or skill set until they are able to execute it efficiently. So, after training they will do some work efficiently. So, it is to develop a specific skill and skill sets. Training is usually a one time or a very short term event as the job training. We will give for the job lots of training. So, it is a very one time or a short term training we are giving. So, that is training. Teaching is usually a broader in focus than training, and it generally is theoretical, while training is the practical application of the knowledge. Teaching we are giving lectures. So, teaching you are giving theoretical knowledge, but the training they are doing some practical use of the teaching they are applying in the training. It is nothing but the application of knowledge. So, teaching seeks to impart new knowledge, while training equips the already knowledgeable with tools and techniques to develop a specific skill sets. Another point we can say the difference is that teaching is training and teaching. Teaching is usually within the context of the academic world, while training is generally associate with the commercial realms. So, that is the difference. The commercial purpose we mainly give the training. Teaching it usually deals with a subject or the topic, while training deals with a duty or the functions. Teacher generally gives students feedback, where in the training the trainers receive feedback from the trainees, right. Teaching is also a never ending process. Whole life it's a teaching is a never ending process. Teaching can be both formal and informal. In the formal, when it occurs inside the classroom, and informal when you learn very things outside the classroom from the parents we can learn, right. So, teaching from the grandparents, you know, that is also one kind of teaching. It is not in only in the class. So, when we talk about instruction, it is not as complex as teaching. So, instruction is giving a direction. So, just see the picture here. Here in that instruction, training and teaching both are in the instruction, but teaching, it is a more, you know, the teaching is more. So, teaching is not only the instruction. So, all this teaching, instruction, training, all together it is the education. So, now in the instructional design we come to the design, right. What is design? Design is a plan or drawing produced to show the look and function of working of something. So, design implies it is a systematic or intensive planning, and ideation is a process prior to the development of something or the execution of some plan or in order to solve a problem. So, to doing something we just design it. Instructional design, what is that? It is a systematic process. Now, instruction is clear, design is clear. So, instructional design, it is a systematic process by which the instructional materials are designed, developed and delivered. So, that is the instructional design. So, it is the entire process of analysis of learning needs and goals and development of the delivery system to meet the needs. That is the instructional design. So, it includes the development of the instructional materials, whatever the instructional material, development of that and activities, and try out all instruction and learner activities. So, there are some key elements of the instructional design. What is that? Number one, there is a genuine need for learning. The learning events, whatever the learning, it should be well designed. Quality learning materials are developed. Learning events are implemented using the appropriate strategies and approaches. Using appropriate strategies and approaches, the learning events are developed. Learning events after the development, it should be evaluated to ensure learning has actually takes place. So, the instructional design process, there are three parts. One, the process involved in the systematic planning of instruction, and there is three. First, the question it arises, where are we going? What is the learning goals? That is the first part. What are the goals of the instruction? That is the first one. The second part is, how will we get there? If the goal is there, how we will get there? That is the second part. What is the instructional strategy and the instructional medium? So, that is the second part. And the third one is, how will we know when we have arrived? So, that is the what should our tests look like, how it is, and how will we evaluate and revise the instructional material. So, the first part is the learning goal, second is the learning processes, and the third one is the evaluation part. So, the instructional design processes the major activities that an instructional designer completes during the design and development. The first is the perform an instructional analysis to determine where we are going, and the second one will be how we will get there, right? And the third one is how we will know when we were there. So, that is the main instructional processes. So, instructional processes designers insist on creating instruction in which the goals, the instructional strategy and the evaluation, but all should be matched, right. So, that is the by match. Match is very important, you have to match it. That means we mean that the strategy, that the instructional, that method that is used, the appropriate, that the learning goals, and the tests, that is the assessment or the evaluation, it should be matched. So, instructional method, goals and assessment, it should be properly matched, then it will be the proper instructional design process. So, first here in this model, here in the analysis, the learning conditions are there, the learners you have to, the learning conditions we are analyzing, the learners we are analyzing, the learning task we are analyzing, and we have to write the test items. And in the strategy, what you are doing? We are determine the organizational strategies, the delivery strategies, how we will deliver, and the management strategies. All this is in the determine part. Write and produce instruction, and the last part, that is the evaluation, that is the conduct the summative evaluation, conduct formative evaluation, not the summative, formative evaluation, and then the revise instruction. And what is that? It will go back, if there is, it will go back either in analysis on the strategy. So, the aim is the learning goal and then the instructional approach, right. So, this is the instructional design model process. So, different instructional design model are there. One is that the ADDIE model, Dick and Carey model, Kane's instructional design model, Kirkpatrick's 4-level training evaluation, but we will talk about this ADDIE model first. What is ADDIE model? A, analysis, D is design, ADDIE, A for analysis, D for design, D for development, I for implementation, and E for evaluation. So, it is a traditional and systematic instructional design model. The outcome of each step is critical for one after it is in a sequence. So, ADDIE's main characteristic is that it is a linear approach, and it provides a clear cut step by step sequence of events in teaching a lesson in that ADDIE model. So, in the analyze phase, this is the first ADDIE A, identify, the main keyword is identify. What they have to identify? Identify what are the learning problems, that is identify. The goals and objectives, that you have to identify. The needs of the learner, what are the learner needs, that have to identify. The existing knowledge have to identify. The environment, how the environment, that also identify. Different constraints are there, you have to identify those constraints, and the delivery option, that of the first in the analysis phase, you have to identify all these things. Then only after analyzing, then only the design phase will come. So, after identify we will specify. What we will specify? What is the learning objectives? That we have to specify. The storyboards, that we have to specify. User interface, content. So, here the keyword is specify in the design process. Now, after that we will come to the development phase. Here the development thing. What you have to produce? The learning material, we are producing the learning material. Content we have produced. So, here the keyword is the produce, produce learning material, produce content. So, that is the keyword in the case of the development phase. Now, the fourth stage is the implementation phase, where the content put in production or the training that is put in the place. So, that is the implementation phase, and the last phase, the last one is the evaluation. Evaluation is assess criteria used, gather learner feedback, or this we are evaluating it. There is two types of evaluation. One is the formative evaluation, another is the summative evaluation. Now, what is formative evaluation? It presents at each stage in the ADDIE process one evaluation, that is the formative evaluation, and summative evaluation is conducted on finished of the instructional programs or the products or the finish one evaluation, that is the summative evaluation. So, just see here in this picture ADDIE, where A is analysis, needs, requirements, tasks. This is the A, and then from here D is the design, learning objectives, delivery format, activities and exercises. From D to come is develop, create a prototype, develop course materials, review pilot session. From D to I, implement, training implementation took in place, observation, and E is the evaluate, awareness, knowledge behavior, results. This is the ADDIE model. Now, what is the strengths of the ADDIE model? Why ADDIE model was the strength? It is most widely used model. In the foundation for other instructional design model, it is the most used model, and it is flexible and can be used for traditional instruction, and across many industries the ADDIE model is used, and it is very effective when testing for easily measurable criteria. It allows for collaboration at each level and at any or every stage. So, this ADDIE model is used, and evaluation is the key component built into ADDIE. Structured guidance for design, ADDIE model. So, but there is some weaknesses of the ADDIE model. What are those? ADDIE is a linear model, analysis, design, development, implementation, evaluation. So, it is a linear model which is not amendable to accommodating user generated content. So, that is the problem, and you can't get to the next phase without addressing the one. So, in that case you can't get here development if you do not do the design part, right. So, this is the problem. So, it is time consuming, and that is why it is costly and time consuming. Evaluation is the key component into the ADDIE, and it does not allow the designer creativity, right. So, this is the problem in the ADDIE, but furthermore storyboards are not always effective in creating or conveying good design. But in this, because the process in the ADDIE model we are using this. So, this is the weaknesses in the ADDIE model. So, we come to the Dick and Carey model. The Dick and Carey systems approach model promotes a systems view of instruction instead of viewing instruction as the sum of the isolated parts. So, what is that? The model, it engages instruction as an entire system, including the the interrelationship is the entire system between the context, content, learning and instruction. So, the Dick and Carey model is widely known and forms the baseline of many other systems. So, what are the major components in the Dick and Carey model? One is to first to identify the instructional goals. The second is conduct instructional analysis. Third one is you have to analyze the learners and the context. The fourth is write the performance objectives. How to write, I will teach you later. develop assessment instruments, develop instructional strategy. What are the instructional strategy? Develop and select instructional materials. What instructional materials is used if the learning goals is this? That design and conduct formative evaluation of instruction and revise instructional design and conduct summative evaluation. So, just see here, this is the Dick and Carey model. So, here assess needs to identify the goals, and there are one is here the conduct instruction and analysis. In this part, analyze learners and context, and from here the second part is the write the performance components, objectives, develop assessment instruments, develop instructional strategy, select instructional materials, design and conduct formative evaluation, and design and conduct, and here this is the revise. So, whatever the revise instruction we can do that. This is the Dick and Carey model. So, what is the strength of the Dick and Carey model? The main strength of this model is that the designer requires clear and measurable learning objectives. Okay. Thereby, developing instruction is a systematic process. So, this is the strength of this Dick and Carey model, but weakness is that it is the base of the premise that every one of its components are essential, and therefore, none can be skipped. You can't skip anything. So, that is the weaknesses. What is the difference between the ADDIE model and the Dick and Carey model? The ADDIE model has 5 phases. We know that ADDIE, but the Dick and Carey model, it has 10 phases and more detail, and the ADDIE model has an evaluation at the last phase, but while the Dick and Carey model has 2 big parts of evaluation. The first part is the evaluation that are done in every steps that have purpose to revise the instruction in every each steps, and the second is that the evaluation that evaluates that the instruction that have evaluated formally and sufficiently revised to meet the standards to the design. So, in that case it will the evaluation is there, but in the ADDIE model the evaluation is in the ADDIE in the last phase. But the similarity is there that in this 2 system the focus is both on the methods, right. So, the system approaches that the focused on both the model of inputs, that is the output, and the process of designing the learning goals, what the learning processes is, the evaluation, the basic design is the same, and that is for today. Next day I will teach you the detail about what is the ADDIE model. Thank you.